Okay, in the morning we were trying to learn about the different methods of burning bricks. So in the last class we have already discussed about the clamp method of burning. So at that point I told you that clamp method is not that advanced kind of method. There is one more advanced kind of method of burning bricks that is known as the kiln method. And there are different types of kiln. Either the kilns can be intermediate kilns or the kilns can be continuous kiln. So we have already discussed about the intermediate kill. What do you mean by intermediate kills? Intermediate kill means the burning process or burning operation will be happening in batches. It won't be a continuous process. One more kind of kiln is the continuous kill where the loading, heating, burning, unloading, all these operations will be carried out simultaneously. It will be happening continuously. That is known as the continuous kill. And we have already mentioned or we have already discussed about one type of continuous kill. I'll give you three names for continuous kills. One is a bull's trench, another one is a Hoffman's kill, and another one is a tunnel. So bull's trench we have already discussed. Now we are going to discuss about the Hoffman's kill. Now I am going to present one slide. Okay, this is the diagram showing a Hoffman's kill. This one is the plan, and here you have the sectional view. So a Hoffman's kill will always be circular in shape. Either it will be on the ground or it will be over the ground. Okay, so it's also known as a flame kill. And there are different components or chambers for a Hoffman's kill. Usually it will be having 12 chambers. And for a Hoffman's kill, you will be providing a roofing. So even during rainy season, the kiln can work without any issue, without any interruption. Okay. Now just observe this diagram. The diagram shows the plan and section. There are different main doors. There will be certain main doors, that is one part, and there will be certain communicating doors. And the function of communicating doors is to act as flues. And then there will be a fuel hole through which you will be inserting the fuel, and connected with the central chimney. This one is the central chimney. It is more clear in the sectional view. Connected with the central chimney, you will be having some radial flue also. So these are the main parts. Now as I told you, there are 12 chambers. The functions of various chambers are as follows. Chamber 1 is the chamber used for loading brick. Chambers 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. These chambers are used for drying and preheating. Chambers 6 to 7 is performing the actual burning operation. Then chambers 8, 9, 10 and 11 is for cooling, and chamber 12 is for unloading. So these are the functions of all the 12 chambers. I will tell you once more. Chamber 1 is for loading the bricks. Chambers 2, 3, 4 and 5 is for drying and preheating the bricks. Chamber 6 and 7 is for burning. Chamber 8, 9, 10, 11 is for cooling the bricks, and chamber 12 is for unloading. So these are the functions of all the chambers. Now the cool air will be entering into the chambers 1 and 12. These are the main doors for chamber 1 and 12. The cool air will be entering through 1 and 12. Now then the cool air will be passing to the chambers 8 to 11. Okay, the cool air will be passing to the chambers 8 to 11, and after passing through the chambers 11 to 8, it will be entering into the burning zone. I have already told you that chambers 6 and 7 are the burning. So it will be entering into the burning zone. Then it will be moving into the chambers 2 to 5, and in the chambers 2 to 5 it can preheat and dry the raw bricks. Okay, then the damper means the door of the chamber 2 is in open condition. So after the drying operation is completed, the hot gas can be withdrawn through the central chimney through the damper of chamber 2. Okay, this is the diagram and this is how this Hoffman's kiln is working. I'll give you short notes. I have already prepared handwritten notes and those handouts will be circulated to you, so you don't need to worry. Okay, when we were discussing about the clamp method, I told you that the clamp method does not require any expertise. But there are certain advantages when we are speaking about this kiln method. First thing is the bricks will be burnt uniformly and evenly. So the quality of bricks produced using this method is very much high. Then within each chamber, the fuel can be regulated. When we were discussing the disadvantages of clamp method, I told you that there is no provision. Okay, there is no provision for controlling the heat in the case of a clamp method. So that disadvantage is not present in this kiln method. Okay, here in the different chambers, I have already shown you the chambers. In the different chambers through the flue holes, you will be able to regulate the amount of fire coming. Okay, next. There is considerable saving in fuel due to preheating of raw bricks by flue gases. Okay, I told you that some of the chambers, especially chambers 2 to 5, is performing the function of drying and preheating. So already since the bricks is dried and preheated, it can directly go into the burning operation. Otherwise, what will happen is before burning, you need to dry the bricks. Even though you are taking dried bricks into the Hoffman's kiln, there will be some amount of moisture present that need to be removed, right? So in order to have that drying operation done, you need to spend some more amount of fuel. But in this type of kiln, there will be considerable savings in the fuel cost. Okay, because already one chamber is present and that chamber will be functioning for drying and preheating of bricks. So there is a considerable savings in the fuel. Okay, then another important advantage of this Hoffman's kiln is there is no air pollution in the locality. You will not be facing much air pollution in the locality because the exhaust gases will not be containing any kind of black smoke or coal dust particle. So these are the different advantages of a Hoffman's kiln. Another type of kiln, already we have discussed two types of kilns, the Bulstrenge and the Hoffman's Bulstrenge kiln and the Hoffman's kiln. And there is one more type that is known as a tunnel kiln. So tunnel kiln, as the name suggests, it will be in the form of a tunnel. The tunnel can be either circular or straight or oval in plan. It can have any of the following shapes. Okay. So within this tunnel, there will be a certain stationary space or certain stationary zones. Then from one end of tunnel to the other end, you will be loading the bricks in a trolley. Okay. I'll repeat once more. This is known as a tunnel kiln. Okay, it will be in the form of a tunnel. You might have seen tunnels, right? If you travel, you might have gone through different tunnels, especially if you are going through trains and all. If you are traveling, especially you are from Uttarakhand, so you will have a lot of tunnels. Uttarakhand is a place very famous for tunneling and rock engineering. So I don't need to explain much about tunneling. So it will be in the shape of a tunnel, and the tunnel can take any shape. It can be either circular or oval in plan. Okay. So what will happen is you will be loading the bricks. Suppose this is one tunnel, you will be loading the bricks in a trolley. And after loading, the trolley will move from one end of tunnel to the other end of the tunnel. Okay. And the raw bricks get dried and preheated as they approach the zone of fire. So if this is the tunnel, this is the starting of tunnel and here you have the ending of tunnel. Only at this point you will be having the firing zone. So while the bricks are traveling from this place to this place, okay, the bricks will be getting preheated and dried in the best possible manner, so that once it reaches the other end of the tunnel, the firing will happen and the burning process will be carried out, right? So that is about the different types of kilns. Okay, we have discussed the Bulstrenge kiln, we have discussed the Hoffman's kiln, and we have discussed the tunnel kiln. Now we have to study about the different properties of bricks. I'll present once more so that it will be more clear. I have a PDF and I'll be circulating that PDF, or I'll be just explaining such things. presenting okay. So properties of bricks, physical properties of bricks, it include shape, size, color, density. Then comes the mechanical properties. We know that bricks are being used as a construction material or building material. So it is supposed to encounter different kinds of various kinds of loads in its lifespan. Okay, so there are certain mechanical properties which need to be satisfied by the building material. Compressive strength and flexure strength are some of the mechanical properties. We'll be explaining everything in detail. Then you have the thermal characteristics. Then there are certain durability property, absorption value, frost resistance, efflorescence, etc. Okay. Now coming to the, when we were discussing about bricks, I told you about frog. Do you remember? When we were discussing about the molding of bricks, I told you ground molded and table molded bricks. At that point, I was telling about frog. Frog is meant by there will be a depression on the surface of the brick. And what is the purpose? Within that depression, you will be indicating the name of the manufacturer, and also when the brick is being placed. When the brick is being placed in a bed, or when mortar is used to join the bricks to form a brick course, this frog will act as a good key for mortar. Okay, so this thing in this diagram you can see what is meant by a frog. You might have already seen all those things if you have observed some bricks which is used for construction. Okay, now shape, standard shape of brick means it should be truly rectangular in shape. Okay, and it should be having sharp and true right angled corners, and the surface of brick should be very much regular and even. In some cases you may be using certain special purpose bricks. So in case of special purpose bricks, they may be having some other shapes. Okay, otherwise all the ordinary kind of bricks should be having a certain standard shape. Okay, fine. Next comes the size. Size is varying, but you call as the standard size of brick, you tell it as 19 cm into 9 cm into 9 cm. 19 centimeter length and 9 centimeter will be its breadth and thickness. This is the standard size. In some cases, you may have a question like, what is the nominal size of brick? I think you have already studied it in your first year course. So nominal size of brick means the standard size is 19 cm into 9 cm into 9 cm. Along with that standard size of brick, you will be considering 1 centimeter thickness of mortar. So when you are considering 1 centimeter thickness of mortar, the size will come as 20 cm into 10 cm into 10 cm. So that is the nominal size, and don't get confused. Standard size is 19 into 9 into 9 and nominal size is 20 into 10 into 10 cm. Okay. Now coming to the different properties of bricks. Color, uniform and bright. Most commonly it will be coming in red color. Varies from dark red to light red color. Then density of brick may vary from 1600 kilogram per meter cube to 1900 kilogram per meter cube. And weight of a single brick will come to 3.2 to 3.5 kilogram. Whenever you are speaking about brick, note this point. If you are considering 1 meter cube of brick, okay, if you are constructing a brick wall which is having 1 meter length, 1 meter width and 1 meter height, then the total volume is 1 meter cube. A number of bricks required to have 1 meter cube is 500. Actually it is 450 to 500. So in some cases it may be 450 or 500. Within that range it will fall. Okay. Now mechanical property. Mechanical property of bricks mainly depend on the composition of clay and the degree of burning. It varies from 35 kilogram per centimeter square to 200 kilogram per centimeter square. Then comes the flexure strength. Flexure strength should not be less than 10 kilogram per centimeter square for common building. You know what is the difference between compressive strength and flexure strength? Anyway, you are having one subject of strength of material. So Ankush sir will be explaining more about all those things, all these different kinds of load. I am not going to explain in detail now. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can post this as the comment. I'll try to explain. But don't worry, all such things will be covered in your SOM. strength of material. Now the insulation property, brick should be having adequate insulation against heat, cold and noise. Then sound conductivity, all these things you already know. Now we are coming into the quality of bricks. These things are just for your reference. I'll share this material, you can read it. I'll be focusing only on the important topics, otherwise we won't be able to finish. Okay, this is an important thing. Quality of brick. Okay, so first quality of brick is, I have already told you that brick will be having certain uniform size and shape. So the standard size of brick is 19 centimeter into 90 centimeter into 90 centimeter, and the frog will be having a depth of 10 to 20 millimeter and length of frog will be 100 millimeter. Then the brick should be properly burnt. Okay, brick should be properly burnt. And when you are taking two bricks and striking it together, it should be giving a clear ringing sound. Then what you are doing is you are taking a brick and you are breaking it. And once you observe the broken texture of the brick, it should be very much bright and homogeneous. And the structure should be compact. Compact structure means you should not be able to view any kind of voids within the cross section. Okay, that is another important quality of a good brick. Then water absorption of brick. Water absorption of brick means if the brick is immersed in water, okay, when we are discussing about the testing of bricks, I'll tell you the detailed procedure of conducting this test. Okay, now you understand that absorption should not be more than 20%. If the brick is having certain weight, okay, after immersing the brick in water for say 24 hours of time, and again you are weighing the brick, the increase in weight should not be more than 20% for first class brick. Okay, in some cases it may be going a bit extra than 20%, but never it should exceed 25%. Okay, then compressive strength. The compressive strength of brick should not be less than 35 kilogram per centimeter square. Then the brick should be having sufficient hardness so that when you are trying to scratch the surface of a brick with a fingernail, okay, when you are trying to scratch the surface of brick with fingernail, there should not be any markings left. Okay, then the brick should be having very low thermal conductivity and it should be soundproof and it should be having a uniform color. Then within a temperature range of 1200 degrees centigrade, the brick should be able to stand as such. It should not be having much content of alkali. If the alkali content in brick is more, it may be causing a phenomenon known as efflorescence. What do you mean by efflorescence? I think you have studied it in your first year. If the alkali content is large, okay, once the surface is getting dried, there will be appearance of white patches on the surface. Even in case of brick, and the same is applicable in case of concrete also. That is known as efflorescence. So these are the different qualities of bricks. Okay. Okay. So I have shared the material and I hope you were able to follow till this point. We were discussing about the qualities of bricks. Desirable quality. First thing is proper shape and size. It should be in accordance with the standard specification in terms of its shape and size. Then when you are taking a brick like this and you are trying to make a mark over the surface of the brick with your fingernails, it should not be giving any impression. It should not be leaving any kind of impression of your nail on the surface. Then you are taking two bricks in your hands and you are trying to strike them together. A clear ringing sound should be heard. You are taking a brick and you are cutting the section. And when you are observing the cross section of the brick, it should not be showing any kind of voids. It should be a compact structure and it should be a homogeneous structure, right? Then we discussed about the water absorption. Water absorption, I told you that it should not be more than 20%. Okay, maximum it can go up to, for first class bricks, it should not be more than 20%, and maximum it can go up to 25%. Okay, so that's all. Now we'll be going to discuss the next thing. Here I was telling about the first class bricks. For first class bricks, the water absorption should not be exceeding 20%. Now you may be having a question, what is this first class brick? There are different classes of bricks. Okay, the bricks can be of different classes. First class, second class, like that. There are several classes of bricks. Now I am going to explain that. I will present one tab. So classification of bricks. First class bricks. First classification is known as the first class brick. First class brick means the surface of the brick should be very much burnt and it should be perfectly rectangular in shape. Then once the bricks are struck together, it should be producing clear ringing sound. The compressive strength should not be less than 140 kilogram per centimeter square and its water absorption after 24 hours shall not exceed 20%. This point I have already discussed in the quality of brick. Then it should be having uniform appearance, texture and surface. Specific gravity should be 1.8. And if you are allowing the brick to fall from a height of 1 meter to 2 meter, you are taking a brick to a height of 1 meter to 2 meter and you are allowing it to fall on the ground, it should not be breaking. So these are the important characteristics of first class brick. If your brick is obeying all these characteristics, you call it as a class 1 or first class brick. And what about the use of first class brick? Excellent for all type of construction in the exterior walls, and plastering is not required. You know, when we will go for plastering, the appearance is such a way that even without plastering, it is very much appealing. Aesthetically, it is appealing. So we don't need to go for plastering. So I have already told you that a well-burned brick having very even surface and rectangular shape. So that does not demand for plastering. So in such exterior masonry work, you will be going for first class brick. Then suitable for flooring. Okay, these are the different uses. Next comes the second class brick. So in first class brick, I told you, well burnt and it should be perfect. Second class brick, it should be well burnt, but a slight over burning is accepted. So the criteria is changing. The degree of burning can be a bit extra in case of second class. Okay. Then clear metallic ringing sound is a must. In first class brick also I told you, when you are striking the two bricks together, it should be giving a clear ringing metallic sound. Then the compressive strength value, here in second class brick, the compressive strength value is reduced. In first class brick, I told you that the compressive strength value should be 140 kilogram per centimeter square. But here it is reduced to 70 kilogram per centimeter square. And the absorption value is also reduced. In first class brick, I told you the absorption should not be greater than 20. Here it can be 20 to 22%. Okay. It should be rectangular in shape, but certain amount of irregularity is permitted and certain unevenness on the surface is also permitted in case of second class brick. And what about the uses? Second class brick is also used in exterior work, but provided you are giving plastering. As we have already seen that the appearance of second class brick is not that good, right? Second class brick will be a bit of distorted in shape and there may be some unevenness on the surface. So those exterior works where plastering is to be done, you can use this second class brick. Then for internal walls, for such things you can go for this second class brick. Now comes the next class of brick, that is the third class brick. Third class brick means the bricks are poorly and it is not evenly burnt. It may be overburnt or underburnt. When you are taking two bricks and striking it against each other, when you are taking two bricks and striking it against each other, the sound produced will be dull. Okay. The next criteria is the compressive strength. Whenever you are speaking about a third class brick, the compressive strength lies between 35 to 70 kilogram per centimeter square. And after 24 hours, it can have an water absorption from 22 to 25%. And appearance, shape and size are all non-uniform and irregular. And the bricks are very much soft when compared to class 1 or class 2. The use of third class bricks comes in temporary buildings. Then in dry situation, in ordinary type of construction and all, you can use the third class brick. And now the last class brick is known as fourth class brick. First class, second class, third class, and fourth class. But fourth class is having one more name as coined out, that is known as Jama brick, Jhama, Jama. So Jama brick is having the characteristic of it is irregular in shape and dark in color because it is overburnt. Okay, overburning will lose its shape and color, and it is very poor. So it is low in porosity, absorption, etc. And what about the uses? You cannot use it as a construction material as such in buildings because it is irregular in size. But you can use it in one another form. It is broken. The brick bat is taken. The brick is broken and brick bat is taken. And this brick bat can be used as aggregates in concrete. Okay. So whenever we are discussing about the subject of concrete, we are having it in our third module. I think it's in third module. So at that point, I'll tell you about the different kinds of aggregates. Normally, you will be using granite, but we are having certain other kind of aggregates also, natural aggregates. So broken brick is one kind of aggregate used in concreting. Okay. So in such cases, you will be going for Jama bricks or fourth class brick. Okay. Now there is the standard testing of bricks.